Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sara Gonzales, joined by Glenn Beck, Stu Burguiere, and Andrew Heaton from Something's Off with Andrew Heaton. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Glenn, what's the top story for you?
I think I have to go with the apology and the learning curve of members of Congress. Very steep learning curve.
All right.
I, too, am very interested in the continuing education of Ilhan Omar.
All right, Andrew.
I think we're beginning to see a new religion percolate in America, and it scares me. I'm going to talk about that.
You're scared of something?
A little bit.
Really? Because usually with you, it's like rainbows and puppies.
Actually, if not scared, I find it distasteful.
All right, a lot to get into. Before we do that, I want to thank our sponsor, American Financing.
American Financing is a company that came to me before the crash of 2008. And I would not accept them as a sponsor because I didn't believe in anybody. It was actually 2007 that they came to me before the crash. And I said, I'll talk to you after the crash because I don't believe in any of you guys. You're all doing the same thing. And they said, no, we're a home-run place. We're a family-owned business. We just do things right, and that's why we got so big. But we don't play the games that the other banks. We agree with you. We're fans of you. And I said, call me after the crash. At the time, nobody believed there was a crash coming. They did. They called me right after the crash and said, our clients are good. We didn't have all the problems because we don't do those kinds of loans. What they do is they actually listen to you. They're not trying to jam you into some sort of a loan where the bank is giving them, an extra bonus for selling that loan. They try to find the one that's right for you. You can trust these people to work hard. Call them up, pre-approved. I think it's within 10 minutes. And they'll give you all the options. And if you don't like them, go someplace else that, is not necessarily working for you, but, good luck with that.
You can go to AmericanFinancing.net or you can call 800-906-2440. Glenn, members of Congress apologizing.
Well, yesterday, Congresswoman Omar was very apologetic, as we've
unequivocally. So.
Yes. Do we happen to have her?
I believe we have her tweet.
Here it is. Anti-Semitism is real. And so in case you don't know what she said, the problem is AIPAC. I mean, AIPAC is just funneling money like crazy in and getting everybody to buy into Israel.
It's all about the Benjamins,
Yes.
Yeah, it's all about the Benjamins. Anti-Semitism is real, and I'm grateful for Jewish allies and colleagues who are educating me on the painful history of anti-Semitic tropes. My intention is never to offend my constituents or Jewish Americans as a whole. We have always been willing to step back and think through criticism, just as I expect to hear me when others attack me for my identity. This is why I unequivocally apologize. Okay, stop. Don't read anymore because it gets funny. Okay, so we're expected to believe that she is a devout Muslim who is on the radical side, leans that direction. She's been around it her whole life, and she's never heard a Jewish trope like that Jews control the world with money.
Imagine her surprise.
Imagine her surprise. So she's never heard that. Then she throws in, I'm a victim too. Okay. But then she goes on after she says unequivocally, but at the same time, I reaffirm the problematic role of lobbyists in our politics, whether it be AIPAC or anything else. Well, first of all, NRA and the fossil fuel industry and big pharmaceutical, it's tens of millions of dollars. AIPAC is $3 million. So they're not even in the same category by any stretch of the imagination.
3 million, that's not a big influencer.
No, it's really not. Now, does AIPAC and the Jewish lobby have some clout? Yes, because there have been traditionally a lot of Democrats who were Christians and a lot of Republicans who were Christians who believe in the state of Israel. It hasn't been a hard sell. Yeah. It is now with the Democratic Party. But she is learning some new things, and boy, I can't imagine how she missed all of that. But then again, I look at myself. Now, judge me if you want, but I'm a victim here too. Yes, from people who say things, and let me give you an example. New family just moved into my
apartment complex.
Yes, my neighborhood, and we have a lot of Christians in my neighborhood. It's a nice neighborhood, and so we wanted to do something fun. So we wanted to welcome this new family. Now they happen to be black. but we're Christians, and we wanted them to know that. So I got all the kids and everybody, and we made a giant cross, and I put it in front of their yard. Now, it was at night. I wanted them to see it, so we lit it on fire. And I was safety conscious. I had all of us, we dressed in these white just sheets. And that was just so cars could see us at night.
Right.
But these guys,
thinking, by the way.
These guys get all upset. Oh, you're a Klan member. You're a racist. Blah blah blah. I had no idea in the South about these black Klan tropes. I've never even heard of that. Now, I reject that unequivocally. But I do want you to know that blacks are moving into white neighborhoods. I mean, good God, how do you do that with a straight face?
She does need an extra dash of in her recipe for unequivocal.
Yes.
Just a little bit more. It's amazing. And, to see, this has been an ongoing thing with her. In fact, the ADL came out and hit her pretty hard, which came before this apology. The ADL has a way of making people apologize. They're pretty good at this. They do it all the time.
Only because the Jews control it.
There you go. I forgot about that already. Yeah. See, I'm forgetting these tropes.
I learned that from David Duke.
Yes. David Duke, who was supporting Omar, by the way. ADL says, unfortunately, making insensitive statements towards the Jewish community is not new for Representative Omar. These tweets are a part of a disturbing pattern of behavior that must end. The Congresswoman needs to understand that these comments promote dangerous stereotypes and are hurtful to Jewish constituents and Jewish Americans throughout the country. This is it was a big statement. They actually did move a little bit on it. They were talking about her maybe losing her committee assignments and stuff. That has not happened as of yet. Of course not.
You got Keith Ellison, who's running the party.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, Steve King lost his committee assignments.
It would be
pretty
nice
quickly.
to see some consistency.
I mean, I will say, like, there is a danger at some level, and I don't think Omar is a great example of this, but Israel should be able to be criticized, right? Like, you should be able to criticize the influence of any group in politics and any way that you want. The patterns are not positive, though, with Omar. She in the past has tweeted that Israel has hypnotized the world. She's had multiple moments like this. She thought it was a hilarious thing on TV where she was talking about terrorism. Do we have this clip?
We do.
This is Omar from a couple years ago.
A product of this sensationalized media. You have these sound bites and you have these words and everybody says it with such an intensity, and so it must hold a bigger meaning.
It sounds strange and weird.
I remember when I was in college, I took a terrorism class. And
is that a such thing?
Yeah, there was.
So there is a lab for that?
There was a class that you.
Do you go to a lab?
No,
go out a field trip.
We learned the ideology of.
I'm glad you do that.
And so it was the thing that was interesting in the class was every time the professor said Al-Qaeda, he sort of like his shoulders went up and
Yeah, he's in command here.
Al-Qaeda, Hezbollah.
He's an expert.
And it was,
What's his name? What put his name on the air?
We are
does he
not
live?
saying his name.
Yeah, we should probably shut up now.
Just out of curiosity, did she go to a college in the States, or is this referencing actual? Because
no, here in the United States.
If she went to like Michigan State and it was a class on terrorism, like I could, but if like she wasn't actually being taught terrorist tactics.
No, but that's what his joke
that's
was.
what he was joking.
Did they have a lab on that? You go out on field trips and blow things up? That's so funny. Americans laugh about that so hard.
I think her point seemingly there was she was mocking the professor for taking that so seriously, right? Like he said, I'm scared of us. And it's like, well, those things are kind of scary.
Yeah.
It's definitely a different, she can say whatever she wants, and if people want to elect her, they can elect her, which they did. But the idea that this is going to be something that's becoming, especially with this freshman class, continually mainstreamed. I mean, these things have come out of Tlaib's mouth, several things just like this. I mean, she was partying with terrorists. Like a guy who's legitimately praising terrorists had him there for a fundraiser. You also have Ocasio-Cortez, who's gone down these roads a little, or at least close to these roads, a little bit too much. It's not something I think is a good sign for the Democratic Party or for America, because I mean, as much as I don't agree with Democrats, I don't want one of the two parties being anti-Israel or being anti-Semitic. I mean, that's not a good development.
Anything.
And the fact that this is being embraced more and more is a problem.
It is It is the canary in the coal mine. I've said that for 20 years. Jews, under persecution, anti-Semitism, that's the socialism canary in the coal mine. It's the first sign. It starts usually with, those bankers. And, they control the media. And it just spirals out of control from there.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Democrats, I think, for a long time, you think of someone like Chuck Schumer, I can't think of anything really that I agree with him policy-wise, but I mean, he's the guy who legitimately cares about Israel and does not want to see these sorts of things happen. There's a lot of Democrats who are still like that, but they're aging out a little. Like, they all seem to be sort of the top of the age scale, and I think that's problematic. And you see this going on with, CNN ran a segment today where they talked about Omar's comments. And they said, and by the way, we should also point out that Republicans have said things bad about Michael Bloomberg and George Soros, and it's basically the same thing.
The New York Times, where
it's
it was
not the same.
Calling out whoever the current majority McCarthy.
Yeah,
was like, but he also said stuff about Steyer. And I was like,
it's like, well, yeah, but okay. Do you first of all understand the difference between naming 3 individual people who happen to be Jewish, as opposed to saying Jews are doing something bad? When you group the Jews, an individual Jew can do things that are bad. They do it all the time, just like every other group of people. You just don't want to be
Christians don't.
Yeah, individual Christians, obviously.
Or Laplanders. Shout out to Sweden.
Right.
Yeah, no, thank you for a huge audience over there. The point is, though, you don't generalize entire groups.
From somebody it's like IKEA.
It's all about the Benjamins.
Throw the Laplander comments in.
So can I ask for just a couple of clarifications? So, like, if someone criticizes AIPAC, that's okay. It's the manner in which she did it, or this is kind of a historic dog whistling type thing?
It's a historic. She's got a pattern.
Okay.
She has a pattern of being against Israel. I mean, comments like, Jews and Israel hypnotize, the Americans. I have no problem with what she said about money being an influence. I agree. It's progressives that really made that into an art form. But, whatever. I don't like money in the system either. But she has a pattern of this, and so does the Democratic Party. They are becoming very anti-Semitic, and it will only get worse as they become more Marxist.
I point out, too, that AIPAC was her fallback position. Her first comment was just, it's about money. Jews getting influence is about money. Then it was like, what I meant was AIPAC. Like, even that, which was already, I think, a little bit of a problem, considering her history, was a fallback position.
I do think you're right that it's probably going to exacerbate, because if your worldview is predicated on there's always an oppressor and always a victim, that's going to create some interesting models where if you're looking at Israel and you're going, that group right now, okay, well then that's the oppressor.
Well, you don't even have to look at it that way. You look at it as collective salvation. Look, the United States of America was built on the idea of the individual. It goes against everything we are to talk about collectives, to talk about people as only a Republican or only a Democrat, only a Jew, only a Muslim. That's not who we are.
You're a component of your demographic group.
Correct. Yeah. We are individuals, and we have lost that all around. And if we don't regain that, we will land in Marxism or some sort of totalitarianist system, because the Constitution stands for the individual.
All right, when we come back, we're going to hear what's troubling Andrew Heaton.
Oh, I think I can guess.
I just don't think they exist. I think the whole thing's a hoax.
Before we get back into the conversation, I want to thank our sponsor, Relief Factor. We here at The Blaze we're very thankful for Relief Factor because it actually makes Glenn tolerable to work with.
Thank you.
Which is a really big deal.
More tolerable. I wouldn't say tolerable.
Okay.
That's a great point.
All right.
Ish. Tolerable.
Palatable?
Okay, this
There
is
you go.
going in the wrong direction. This is about a client.
No, but seriously, Relief Factor. So probably, 100 million of you are in just constant pain all the time, and you don't realize that you don't have to be in constant pain all the time. Maybe you've tried pharmaceutical products, and I mean, like Stu, he just likes to bathe himself in big pharmaceutical products.
I tried the 200 below thing. Have you guys heard about that?
No, what is that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you go to these freezing places and
Oh,
it's
right.
200 degrees below
the
zero.
cryogenic.
Cryogenic freezing.
Yeah.
I don't understand how that doesn't kill you. I mean, it clearly doesn't, but
What do you think?
Okay, I don't know. I don't know. But I even tried that. I mean, I tried
Everything.
everything.
Yeah.
Nothing works.
And I did too, for that matter. I have some herniated disc from a car accident, and so it's worked for a bunch of us at the studio. It can work for you. It actually works for like 70% of the people who buy their 3-week quick start pack that they have go on to continue ordering more. It's working for the majority of people. So if you're in pain and you want a way out, it's life-changing. Go to relieffactor.com right now. Get that 3-week quick start pack for $19.95. $20 and you can be out of pain. Relieffactor.com. Andrew, what's going on? What's wrong? Usually you're so uppity and
I saw
happy.
I saw something that just kind of alarmed me. And it's part of a trend that I see happening. I think it's already been around for a while, but it's coming out more and more. Can we throw up the picture that I found? So this is President Obama. He's with his portraiture that's now at the National Portrait Gallery. And instantly, nothing I say is really specific to any one president. This could be anybody else. But the thing that struck me in the article I was reading, it was talking about this portrait. It begins with someone drawing a painting of a person kneeling in prayer in front of that portrait, because a security guard that was there after it was unveiled watched an old lady come and kneel in prayer in front of this portrait. And some of the other language in the article I read described this as a kind of secular pilgrimage site. And in fact, the National Portrait Gallery has tripled the amount of people coming in since they've put in the Obama portraiture.
Wait. Okay, wait a minute. Are we sure that that's what was happening? The lady might have been praying for him.
I don't know. I don't.
Might have been praying.
I don't think she was praying to him.
Right.
But the thing that I'm getting at is that there was a kind of emotional link between spirituality, religion, and a political leader, and that's the thing that I find very disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
And
When has that ever gone wrong?
when has that ever gone wrong? Right. You can. I mean, I think within our lifetime, something that's still happening is you can look at like North Korea, or you can look at China, where they still have these giant Maoist portraiture. Where you guys have probably been to Beijing. I've been there, and they literally will like the Chinese will kneel and put flowers at the grave of Mao and that kind of thing. I mean, he is a religious figure. I am very disturbed that I think that's happening and has kind of happened a while back in America, but I think it's happening more and more.
You never saw that with Ronald Reagan. You don't see that with George Washington. I mean, I'm the biggest George Washington zealot.
Well, they do have the apotheosis of George Washington in the Capitol.
And what happened? What happened? You know where that was supposed to be?
I don't know.
Okay. That was made for the rotunda of the Capitol.
Right, yeah, if you go into the rotunda, you look up, it's called the apotheosis of Washington.
Okay, I thought you meant the sculpture.
No,
because there is a sculpture. That all was done at a time period, and when that was put in, the sculpture was supposed to sit here, and it's him looking like a Greek god, kind of like this. And the Congress and the American people were so turned off by that, it was never put on public display until very recently, because now it's kind of an interesting story, et cetera, et cetera. But we have always shunned that.
They were going to bury him there as well. That was the plan.
Yes,
and
right.
I think Washington was literally
Mortified.
over my dead body, blasted out of a cannon before you do that, which I think is a very healthy attitude. And the concern that I have is I already don't like the power and prestige that the presidency commands merely on a secular level. I think that we've gone too far, and that bothers me. What I'm beginning to see now is I think that your politics is becoming more important to people tribally than your religion is. Mm-hmm. And as someone who's not terribly religious, what I kind of see happening is religion is shrinking in America. People aren't becoming any less religious. What they're doing is they're just latching onto political parties to fill that void. Mm-hmm. And Nietzsche, just this kind of secular.
When everybody translates Nietzsche as God is dead, let's celebrate. That's not what he said. God is dead. We have now killed him. But people are not going to get away from religion. They'll replace it with something else. Be very careful. What are we going to replace God with? And it was really a warning to the German people. And did they listen? No. Yeah. No, they went just crazy. We have a documentary series that we've been working on for, I don't even know, a year, that hopefully will come out this year. It's on the Nazis and their religious views. And you can see it. It starts way before the Nazis. It starts in the late 1800s. And when God is killed in their society, they start to become very tribalistic. They start to reach out and start to get back into legend and folklore and all of these different things. And the more screwed up their society becomes, the easier it is for somebody at the top to take all those traditions, all of those things, and just roll them into a nice little ball and then put it in him, and you have Adolf Hitler. And it is, you can watch it happening here, and you're exactly right.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up, because I think it's a huge problem. I think it's on both sides. It's totally a bipartisan issue. I mean, you see this in, there's a documentary about North Korea where doctors went across the border into North Korea and helped cure cataracts, these basic surgeries that every other country on earth had. And when people finally got these surgeries and they were all of a sudden they could see again for the first time in months, the first thing they did was walk up and thank not the doctors, not the people who were, they wouldn't get mad at Kim Jong-il at the time for preventing these doctors from being there the whole time. Instead, they went up and thanked the picture of Kim Jong-un. They prayed to the picture and thanked the picture. Turkmenistan, the same situation. To build a national identity, they put statues of Turkmenbashi all over the country to try to show that, oh well, we now have an identity. When your country identifies with one person, and we do it way too much here with the President of the United States already, and it's getting much, much worse. It's happened, the last two presidents in particular, I think it's really escalated, where this is just like, it's like our national image rather than we're a bunch of individuals and this guy has some role.
This is the father of the nation, and the seer of seers and the spiritual leader, which also, I am never going to take my spiritual or moral cues from politicians. No. That is the dumbest thing you could possibly do.
You know, the interesting thing is the progressives and Marxists are worshiping, and so are, real diehard Republicans are also worshiping at the altar of the president. But what's frightening is if you look at the doctrine, it is the same. You have the doctrine of what do you call it? Original sin. The doctrine of original sin is you're white. You are responsible for all of the things.
You've inherited the guilt.
You've inherited the guilt. And only until you pass through our rituals can we cleanse you of that original sin.
Which has a terrible, if you get back into the Middle Ages, I remember being in high school and reading the awful pogroms and stuff they would do with the Jews, to go back to that. Oh, yeah. And one of the major factors in it was, well, they killed Jesus. The people today alive, they have inherited the guilt of the forefathers who killed Christ. So it's perfectly fine to persecute them. They deserve it. And I remember reading that going, that's insane. They weren't around for that. Like, these are, like 15th century Jews living in Serbia.
That's American thinking, and that thinking is being lost.
All right, back in a minute.
That was lost by bringing in all of the German All of
We're talking about Ilhan Omar earlier. Did you guys see what Tamika Mallory tweeted out about her?
No.
In defense of her, she said, "I can't sit back silently as a black woman and watch the attacks on Representative Omar. I am sick and tired of watching black and brown women be used as scapegoats for white nationalism. Enough is a damn enough. We must all speak up and speak out."
So now she's got
Linda
Tamika Mallory
Sarsour.
and Linda Sarsour. This is quite a group of
Yes.
backers.
David Duke.
David Duke.
David Duke.
Wow, she's doing well.
Yeah. So
Sometimes you want your friends to shut up.
I mean, I laughed when I saw that. Who was it that Linda Sarsour that came out last night running her defense? I was like, that was like Christmas. That was like, are you kidding me? I can't wait to get on the air and talk about that. That's hysterical.
Yeah.
You know, she's running to your defense. Beep, 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 beep. Hey, Linda, sit this one out, will you? Can you not say anything in my defense?
It's interesting, too, that David Duke is, he's loving the Democrats these days. I mean, Tulsi Gabbard is like his presidential candidate. She loves Assad.
Because
he's a big Assad fan.
Is his foreign policy? Is he super non-interventionist?
Yes, he is pretty non-interventionist and likes Russia and likes Syria and likes that sort of wing of things. Also, you know, Gabbard had some past issues with the gays, as they would say, and Dave seems to like that as well.
And then also, like, if I were wanting people to be super racial, I'd want them to talk about it constantly. And I think that's part of it as well, is folks like us aren't necessarily going, think about your color, think about all your time. But if you're doing that, then
Check your privilege at the door, Eden.
all right, we'll see you guys in overtime.